Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Today we pay our respects to the fallen soldiers who gave their lives for our freedom here in the United States. On this special Memorial Day edition of Trash to Thrash, we're going to be rebuilding a couple of Van Halen-style tribute guitars in honor of Sergeant John Curtis Beale. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and smash that bell to be notified of when new episodes come out. This is Trash to Thrash. For more than 20 years, I've been obsessed with guitars. From playing them, to working on them, to buying and collecting them, I've built quite the collection of awesome custom guitars. Now, I'm turning my passion into a profession by seeking out old, beat-up guitars and giving them new life, all while trying to make a profit. I'll be searching everywhere for used gear that I can refret, rewire, repaint, whatever it takes to make it a real shredder. This is Trash to Thrash. Hello everybody, welcome back to Trash to Thrash. I'm your host Mark Murray, and today we pay our respects to the fallen veterans of this country for Memorial Day. I got an email a few months back asking for a quote for a custom striped tribute guitar with some nice personal touches. The email came from Mike Beale, who actually had me write two estimates for him. One for him and one for his brother Tim. They were tribute guitars to honor their brother Sergeant John Curtis Beale, who passed away serving in Afghanistan in 2009. They both wanted brand new guitars, refinished with some EVH stripes, but they actually ended up needing very different processes to achieve the finishes they each wanted. Alright, I'm going to show you the two guitars in just a second, but I want to remind you that GuitarGuts 2 is now active again here on YouTube. I'll have weekly behind-the-scenes content on there that was previously reserved just for the Patreon audience. Now will be posted over there too. So it's going to include unboxings, new guitar arrivals, day in the life of, daily projects and things that I'm working on. It'll have like a more day-to-day feel to it rather than just seeing one full guitar built up in a 20-minute episode like on this show. So click the link down in the description below, go subscribe to GuitarGuts 2. Now, let me show you these guitars. This is Mike's guitar. It's a brand new Kramer Striker HSS model. It's a bolt-on guitar with a 25.5-inch scale length, mahogany body, a 24-fret maple neck, black dot inlays, a Floyd Rose Special bridge, and a 5-way selector switch. I got this guitar from Sweetwater, who we'll talk about a little bit more in just a minute. The plan for this guitar will be to give it the stealth striped look, so matte black with gloss black stripes. Normally I'd start by sanding it and painting it gloss black, but this is a brand new gloss black guitar, so why repaint the gloss black? From here I'll go straight to striping it up with masking tape. Then I'll spray the matte black and matte clear. Then when I pull the tape, I'll have the stealth striped look. Of course, I'll be matching the headstock. The headstock will get a new gloss black paint job, and then I'll stripe it up with the tape, shoot the matte black, and then of course the matte clear. We want to add a new black logo back on, but if we already used matte and gloss black, how can we make this look right? I have a cool solution that I'll show you when we get there. Comment how you'd do the logo in the comment section below. Now this is Tim's guitar. It's an EVH Wolfgang Standard. I've rebuilt a few of these now, and these are rock solid guitars. The value for the price is excellent on these. If you're a Van Halen fan, you need at least one Wolfgang. If you're on the fence, definitely get one, you're gonna love it. This bolt-on guitar features a basswood body with a 12-inch to 16-inch compound radius fretboard, a 22-fret baked maple neck, an EVH branded Floyd Rose Special with an R2 nut, direct mount Wolfgang humbuckers, and a 3-way pickup selector switch. I picked up this guitar from my friends over at Safe Haven Music. I bought a few guitars from them now, and they always have a real nice selection of guitars in stock, but they also do an inspection and setup before shipping it, so they show up playing really nice. They're an authorized dealer for EVH, ESP, and LTD, Jackson, Ibanez, Fender, Music Man, and Charvel, plus way more. Those are just my favorites. Go check out Safe Haven Music, give them some support. They support us here at Trash to Thrash and at GuitarGuts. And again, you can order a guitar to be shipped directly to me for a refinish and upgrades. Just reach out to me via email first. The plan for this Wolfgang will be to sand it all down, then add a stencil so I could add some black stripes over the olive drab green finish. This is the final design we came up for Tim's Wolfgang, with his brother's initials JCB displayed and the Army Air Corps logo on the bottom horn. After spraying the stripes on, I'll throw some matte clear over the entire guitar to give it a clean, uniform top coat, because this entire guitar will be finished in a matte finish. I'll also be adding a black Tessie kill switch to replace the tone knob. While coming up with this design, Tim said he wanted John's initials on it and he wanted the Army Air Corps logo on there. I divided the guitar into quadrants and asked him if he has a preference on where he wants these logos and how he wants them worked into the stripes. I came up with these 4 starting points and he chose number 3 and we went from there. As I disassemble each of these guitars, there's a little more care put into this than normal because we'll be using all the original parts back on these guitars, and also certain parts of the finish will be kept and not painted over, so we want to keep those in perfect condition. When it comes to a lot of the budget guitars out there like Kramer's and Jackson's, I'm usually really impressed with the level of quality that you get for the price that you pay. The fact that you can get some of these guitars for under $200 and somebody had to fret this guitar, paint it, sand it and buff it, assemble it, plus that includes all the parts. It's mind-blowing that they can build these quality of instruments for that low of a selling price. The neck on this Kramer is really nice feeling. The fretwork looks pretty good too, but when you look at the headstock paint job under a real nice light, you can see there are a ton of sanding scratches still in it. From far back it doesn't look bad, but when you get close and put a light on it, you can see it's really scratched up. In the factory, they could have saved this by continuing to sand with finer grits of sandpaper and then buffing it out. But this is how you save money, and this is the only way you can put out a guitar like this for $350, is you have to cut corners somewhere. So they didn't do a very good job on the headstock, but the body looks clean. I mean, look at this. You can see where the light's reflecting off it, and you don't see any scratches like you did on the headstock. It looks pretty good. Alright, now these 2 guitars are ready for their next phase before paint, and it's going to be a little bit different for each one of them. Even though they're both getting stripes, we're actually going to be keeping the black here to be our stripe color on this guitar, and we're going to be keeping the green here to be our main color, and we're going to add stripes. So the procedure is going to be quite a bit different for the 2 of these. For this one here on the left, we're going to be adding a kill switch here in the tone hole, so we're going to do that before we start anything. Then we're going to sand the entire guitar with 600 grit sandpaper and get it prepared for a big stencil that we're going to lay across this entire guitar that's going to leave just the areas that are going to get stripes exposed. So it's going to be a little tricky to add a stencil on that's going to do that. Normally, like with this guitar, this is going to be our base color for our stripes. So with this guitar, we're going to actually tape it up. Then we're going to sand all the exposed areas that are showing and spray it matte black. So when we pull that tape back off, we're going to have the gloss black be our stripes. Over here, we're creating a stencil that's going to create a negative of what we're going to have over here. And with this guitar, at the end, we're going to pull all the tape off and shoot matte clear over the entire guitar. So we're going to reshoot the clear on the green plus all the black stripes that we add. It's all going to be clear together. This guitar over here, when we add the matte black, we're going to spray the clear while the tape is still on, so that when we pull the tape, that matte clear is only on the sections of the guitar that we did the matte black. Another thing is you're going to feel the stripes a little bit more on this guitar because there's not a unifying top coat that's going to go over everything. Whereas with this guitar, there is a unifying top coat. Everything is going to get matte clear at the end. So the black and the green are going to be all under a matte clear coat. Whereas this guitar, you're going to have sections where the striping is gloss and then the rest of it's going to be matte. So you can't throw one top coat over everything because that's going to kind of make the colors blend. Matte black and gloss black are going to be a little too subtle and you're probably not going to really notice the striping. So to get that stealth look on this guitar, that's how we're going to do it. And now we're going to start getting this thing ready by drilling out the kill switch hole. We're going to sand the guitar down, and then we're going to start testing and fitting a stencil set over this that's going to leave us with just the stripe areas exposed, so that when we go spray it, we're going to spray the stripes on, which is, like I said, the opposite of how I always do it. I always use a drill press and a Forstner drill bit to make my kill switch holes. Alright, now this guitar's got a place for the kill switch, so it's ready to start sanding down. I'm going to start with the Wolfgang, and I'm going to sand it down using a palm sander with 600 grit sandpaper. Okay, it did take a couple tries, but we got the stencil done. So I made a couple different versions of it. The first one was a little too small, the second one was a little off still, and the third one was the right size. So we're going to go with that. I've started to trace on where the body's going to line up with it, and we can see these lines are going to go past the edges of the body, which is what we want. And I had to split it up into 2 segments. So this section here has a straight line that goes all the way through that made it real easy to separate it out because the material is only 12 inches wide by about 19 inches tall. So we needed something that was going to be able to fit fit in my machine and use some 12-inch stock. And the way we did it was splitting it right down there where there's one solid straight line, and then the second piece here has that same straight line on it, so we'll match up where those straight lines are. Now you can see there's some red lines on top of here which are not on top of here yet, and that's because after I pulled off the material that's exposing where we're going to paint, I then put on a layer of transfer tape. So the transfer tape has these red lines on it, and the transfer tape's going to let me peel all this off, including all these little floating pieces, because as you start to pull the rest of it off, these pieces would stay behind because they're not connected to the outside edge. They're just these free pieces in here. That's going to keep all of this stuff attached to the transfer tape. Then I can pull the backing off it, drop it back down, aligning it up where all these Sharpie marks are, and then it should transfer straight on there. I can pull the transfer tape off and it should stay on. It's going to be a little tricky because this is a really big stencil here, and this is kind of like the Harley Wolf I did a couple months ago, where I had this real big stencil I had to lay on with these real fine lines, and hopefully nothing moves around or changes while I'm transferring it. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but here we go. The first step to this was peeling the backing off and getting it positioned how I wanted it. This was pretty tricky. Then I needed to remove the clear transfer tape from the top. Next, I trimmed around the edges so I can get a clean line where it ends. It needed some additional trimming to fit perfectly. I also masked the edge to simulate a green binding, and it gave it that nice clean edge where the stencil ended. I mentioned this stencil was going to be in two pieces because the material wasn't quite wide enough to cover the whole width of the guitar, so I just repeated the process on the other side here. Alright, now this guitar is ready to start spraying. I've got it loaded into the spray booth. And the way I've got the sides marked off is I just created a binding up at the top of the guitar. So the whole back of the guitar will be black along with the striping on the front. And then we'll have a green binding on the edge, which will look really cool. It's a warm 75 in the spray booth right now. It was actually 37 degrees when I woke up in here. It's about 4 p.m. right now. And when I came out here around 7 a.m., you could actually see 37 down there on the bottom was the low over the last 24 hours in here. So it got hot. It got up to 90 at one point in here today, though. I am running a heater in here right now to keep it warm because it's about 60 degrees outside. And then over in the other side of the booth here, we're going to load in the Stealth. So we're going to go start prepping that one right now. Now this guitar is going to be way easier to stripe up than that last one. That last one was a challenge. Most of this guitar here is going to be done with some 3/4 inch Scotch tape. I will also be using some 1/4 inch in some spots. And I've done a bunch of these, so this pattern is going to be a lot quicker than doing a reverse pattern like I just did. Now with the striping on this guitar, I'm doing the edge a little bit differently. I add a 3/4 inch tape stripe around the whole side of the guitar. And now when I stripe up the front of the guitar, as the stripes come around to that side, that'll give me a perfect clean line that I can end the front stripes so they don't wrap around to the back of the guitar. The stripe pattern that I put on the Stealth guitars is normally a version of the Bumblebee stripe pattern. It may not be absolutely dead on if you looked at it side by side with the Bumblebee, but it's really close. Now that all the stripes are on the guitar, I'm sanding all the exposed areas because that's what we're going to paint over, and we want it to have a nice abrasive surface so that the new paint can adhere to this surface. I talk about the mechanical bond and the chemical bond all the time on this show, but this is an example of how you can get a mechanical bond in just the places that we want to get it where we're painting today. You do have to be a little bit careful around your tape because you don't want to damage your tape lines, so you just got to take your time. And of course, while we're going to be out in the spray booth, we'll be painting the headstock too, so I sanded that with 600 grit sandpaper. And I only want to paint the face of the headstock, so I masked off all the rest of the headstock and the entire neck. And into the spray booth we go, painting both guitars at the same time, with one of them on each side of the paint booth, and also spraying the headstock while we're doing it. I sprayed 3 coats of matte black on both of these guitars, then I went straight to the matte clear on the Kramer. 3 coats of that. For the Wolfgang, I had to let it dry for about a half hour so it'd be dry enough to pull the tape, and then I brought it back into the spray booth and did 3 coats of matte clear on that guitar too. So both of these guitars were one-day paint jobs. After letting these guitars hang and cure for about a week, they were ready to reassemble. Basically just reattaching all the original hardware, reinstalling all the electronics, and then getting them strung up and set up and playing well. I told you guys before that I bought this guitar from Sweetwater. They're a cool store. In many cases, you get to choose the exact guitar you're getting. I went on their website and found this Kramer to demonstrate this for you. It shows they have 3 in stock and you can even compare them side by side. It shows the serial number and the weight, which are all a little bit different, and you can see the characteristics of the wood grain and handpick your guitar. It's really cool. I've worked out a deal with Sweetwater. If you want to buy a brand new guitar from them, you can get one through my link in the description or at GuitarGuts.com. That link will bring you directly to Sweetwater, and they'll credit me for referring you to them. It's that simple. Check the links in the description to go get yourself a guitar and help support GuitarGuts at the same time. Or better yet, go grab a Kramer or an LTD and have it delivered directly to me for a refinish. Send me an email and let's talk if you want to do that. And after just a few hours, both of these guitars went from bodies and necks and bags of parts to two really cool completed guitars. Are you guys ready for the reveal? Be sure to hit that like button and hit that subscribe button right now. Remember earlier in this episode when I was painting the Kramer headstock, I had mentioned that part of it's matte black, part of it's gloss black, and I mentioned I had a trick for making a black logo pop against matte and gloss. That's by using a third sheen, satin, which leads me to think one day maybe I'll do a 3-color stealth Frankenstrat using gloss, matte, and satin. What do you think of that? Let me know in the comments.
Thanks a lot for the guitars, man. We love them, and especially this tribute guitar we made for our brother, in honor of our brother. It was his brainchild, this one, and we love the EVH line and the Wolfgang specifically. We're obviously Van Halen fans, and Metallica, all 80s rock. But yeah, we lost our brother in Afghanistan in 2009. He was in the Georgia National Guard, and you know, it's down to just him and I for our immediate family. John served regular Army in the 90s, and then felt compelled to continue his military service when he got out of regular Army and stayed National Guard. So anyway, so tell us about your guitar. I got the picture here.
Mark, you nailed it, bro. This was beautiful. This is the best tribute guitar I could ever think of for our brother, and it means a lot to us what you did here. And I'm sure we're gonna do another one soon. Now this picture here, just so everybody know, this is us 3 brothers. This was the last dinner that we ever ate together.
Last meal
we ever ate together.
Last time you ever saw him, actually.
Before he left for Afghanistan, we all met for dinner, and my girls took pictures of us, and that picture will go down forever. And
the last dinner.
The last dinner with him, and then he left about a week after this, and then he passed away about 2 weeks after he hit ground over in Afghanistan. So he didn't have much longer after this, but he, the most patriotic man we ever knew.
Loved the country.
He loved the country. He had a good job. He had his family, but after 9/11, he couldn't just sit at home. He had to get back in and defend his country, and he paid the ultimate sacrifice for doing it.
And it's the second time he was in the Desert War in '91. I was in them. Both of us were in the military in the '90s in the full Army. And here's a picture of him.
Here's a good photo of him right here.
Regular Army, I should say.
And we just recently did a kind of a little music video of him from when he was a baby until when he passed away and his funeral procession and all that stuff. So it really turned out pretty good. But you know, in his funeral, we both talked about how we will always honor him, and this is the best way we can do it. And Mark Murray, you were a big part of doing that today.
We appreciate it.
And we appreciate it. You are the man.
Yeah, the guitars are fabulous.
And these are beautiful.
They rock.
You will definitely be hearing from us again in the future, and hopefully you hear from many more people in the future.
Yeah, I'm sending you another.
We would love to see your business just skyrocket, keep skyrocketing from here.
Yeah,
and not to mention, you're pretty badass on the guitar too.
Yeah, he's really good.
So thank you so much. This means the world to us, and
we appreciate you. Keep rocking, Mark.
Yeah, keep rocking, bro.
Keep building them. We love it. See ya.
Thank you.
Oh man, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate that, and I'm honored to have been the one to make those guitars happen for you guys. I really appreciate your service to our country. So yeah, thank you guys for having me be a part of this. This is one I'll never forget. To the rest of you guys watching, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of these guitars down in the comments section below. Remember, you can get your GuitarGuts t-shirts over at GuitarGuts.com. I'm wearing the Time to Shred shirt. We got the Alien shirt, the Werewolf shirt. So click the link down in the description for this video to find the t-shirts. And I also want to say thanks so much to Tessie Kill Switches, TessieSwitch.com for sponsoring this episode. Go to TessieSwitch.com and enter GuitarGuts in the checkout. You'll get 15% off. We put a black kill switch in Tim's Wolfgang. You guys probably heard him when he was jamming. And yeah, go get yourself a kill switch. So I appreciate you guys for watching. Click that subscribe button, hit that like button. Happy Memorial Day to you all, and thank you to your service for all the military out there. I appreciate you guys, and rock on, my friends. Check out these other episodes now. We have episode 4 here, which was the first Eddie Van Halen episode I did, and shows a bunch of cool EVH style guitars. Then here are a couple more Wolfgang episodes, like episode 51 with the Harley Wolf, which was one of the hardest paint jobs I've ever done, and of course episode 32 with the Lunar Wolfgang and the first Stealth Wolfgang I ever did. Thanks so much for watching, and rock on, my friends.